Friend. What up, what up, what up, Ricardo Williams?
Greetings and salutations, we that nation. Professor Billingsley, how you doing, sir?
Man, I am glad to be back on the show. I enjoyed being a fan. I had all the nervousness like a father watching and all that stuff. You guys did a great job. I'm glad to be back home and able to be a part of the show. Mm-hmm. How was your week?
Week's good. It's not cold yet, even though it is Chicago. I'm sure it's been raining a lot. Fall is my favorite season in Chicago. It's the only problem. It's about 6 weeks here. But in October, the cold, that hawk, we call it the hawk up here. You ever heard that expression?
Yeah, I have a lot of family from the Midwest in general and Chicago specifically. So
okay, so yeah. So I'm not looking forward to that, but this might, and I love summer in Chicago, and I love the little bit of spring. Spring is about 6 weeks also here. That's so it's mostly winter, and it's mostly hot in the mug. And when it's hot, it's pretty surprisingly hot, and you being familiar with the Midwest, I think people don't really understand it. It gets pretty hot up here.
Oh yeah. That's a part of confirmation bias or it's a lack of traveling and what have you. But yeah, we know it gets hot up there. It gets hot in the Northeast. It gets hot almost everywhere. So you start getting deep up into.
Did you say deep up into Cali? I think you kind of froze a little bit. Real talk. We wanted to start off the show by thanking you guys, We That Nation. We're so grateful. I looked on, I told you the other day, this week, I said, brother, we have over 800 followers on our Facebook page.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that. Now, if we could just convert some of those followers over to our YouTube page.
Yes.
And I know you're like, I watch on Facebook. I like the post on Facebook. And we appreciate that.
We do.
But Facebook is where, let's be honest, that's where the money is. Yeah. So not that you care about us making money, or not that we care about making money in that sense. We're blessed.
Now, Mr. Williams cares about making money.
But if we want to get monetized and that kind of stuff, we need more subscribers over on YouTube. So we ask you to hop in. And if you look down here at the bottom, it's scrolling across. Hop over there. Even if you're going to watch on Facebook, just having those subscribers helps us. And, we want to reach a bigger audience because we are passionate about bringing the Atlanta perspective to people around the country. Because everybody, listen, we are the capital of the urban experience. That's not a disputable fact. Whoever wants to dispute that, just throw some mambo sauce on yourself. It's not so. But the more subscribers, the more we can get it out. But without further ado, we miss Diva. She's got some other engagements. Surprisingly, her life doesn't revolve around being on the show. We talked about
shout out to Boss Diva, Miss Boss Diva.
So shout out to Diva and her podcast. And what I'll say is we will thank you.
Thank you, my brother.
And so we're going to try to step in and do the Boss Diva thing, probably from an entertainment perspective. The biggest thing blowing up the internet for good and bad is Dave Chappelle's latest special on Netflix. Now, I hope none of you guys got kicked off the code, because I know you're using Pookie and them Netflix subscription, and you might have been caught up watching Squid Game. But Dave Chappelle's new special did come out. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm going to rely on my brother Ricardo's review.
Well, yeah, it is, man. The thing is, it's a must-see, and whether you agree with it or not, I think it's the key to being a good comedian is actually to strike up conversations that would ordinarily be tough to have. And Dave is a genius at that, man. He does a great job of striking up conversations that are going to be tough to have, and makes you ask yourself some pretty tough questions about where you fit in that tough conversation. So
yeah, I'm a big Dave Chappelle fan, but I'm probably a bigger ally to the LGBT community. And so some of the things that he said has been offensive to the LGBT community. And I know some of it is his counterpoint is that things can be said that are offensive to other communities, but not the LGBT community. So I'm gonna keep an open mind as far as that goes. I will be watching so I can see for myself, but I'm a huge Dave Chappelle fan.
Yeah, I'm a friend of the LGBTQ community. I try not to be ignorant and say nothing crazy like the HBOC or whatever, but that's kind of one of his points that he's going to. I'm trying not to say too much about the actual thing. It's one of those you just got to watch it. But and I'll tell you, I just saw right before we came on the internet on newsfeed that there's already people trying to get it taken off the air. But I'm telling you, that ain't gonna happen, because one thing I understand about how the economy works and about how television works and about even how this show's gonna work. Man, if they're gonna watch, that probably is. It came out Wednesday. I've already seen it once. I'll probably watch it again, and I can guarantee you that will be the most downloaded stream for a while. It's that good, and it's not. Yeah, it's just the thing is, I think what some people are reacting to is some of the clickbait. If I shared some things with you, you'd be like, "Oh my goodness, he said that," and then you'd watch it for yourself and get an understanding of the context of how he's presenting it. And like I said, he makes some cool points, some difficult points, some points for me difficult, but that was for me to ponder. So everybody's hit. Ain't nobody safe. And I can tell, I think that's probably what my favorite thing about Mr. Chappelle is it seems like he's made a conscious effort to make sure to offend everybody equally. And there's if you've been watching Sticks and Stones and whatnot, and there's a method to his madness. So it's really one of those good ones that's just got me thinking, and I can't wait to watch it again. Definitely a friend to the LGBTQA community. God bless them. And I think we can all work it out together. It's better us to be united than divided. Amen.
All right. So the other big news in entertainment that might have kind of flown under the radar was that Tina Turner sold her music rights to BMG, right? And Tina Turner has some great music, some great soundtrack, and some great potential commercial music that she has for sale. And typically, it's funny that entertainers do not cash in; their estates make these decisions. So, for me, it really feels great for an entertainer while they're living to make their own decision about the rest of their catalog. And so hopefully and then that can help her make her decisions. Just went through it recently with a close family member so that she can make her own decision about the distribution of her wealth, because when those decisions are made after her wealth, whether it's the Beatles catalog, several catalogs have been sold. And, it's just great to me for her to be of sound mind making her decision. So,
a couple points of note with that. number one, I watched, man, a few months back. One of the best. I'm super huge into documentaries. I might watch a documentary just as quick as a movie. I'm just huge on them. And Tina Turner, they had one on HBO Plus or Max or whatever it is. And that was one of the best documentaries I ever saw. But it was made in part because she's already starting to suffer from the initial effects of, I believe, dementia. She's getting old. She's getting old.
Right.
And so I guess she wanted to make that decision on behalf of her state while she was still of sound mind, which is wise. Great.
And I see a lot of people in the comments agreeing.
Yeah. Now, one part with that, though, that's not for everybody. I was looking on the Breakfast Club, and they had Yo Gotti, a rapper. He was like, yeah, he bought his masters. Not the same effect. Listen, if you have timeless hits like Tina Turner, you should get your masters. You're going to get a lot. Right. Those songs are always going to hit.
Right.
I don't know 3 Yo Gotti songs. I'm sure my brother does. I'm sure he'll correct me after the show. But that is a small conglomerate.
Right.
People are not going to care about Yo Gotti.
I'm pro owning your masters, but you had to be realistic about what you're doing.
Yeah.
The other thing that kind of hit that line between sports and entertainment is a health benefit scam hit the NBA. If you don't know, one of the best running backs of our generation, Clinton Portis, is going to jail for a health benefit scam. So basically, you make claims and then the NFL insurance pays it. And it seems like that same thing is going on in the NBA, or they allegedly is going on. Tony Allen has proclaimed his innocence, but again, I think with every scam, I think the biggest factor is people don't realize what you get away with this month doesn't mean you're going to be able to get away with it forever. It's not like the old days. And from electronic tracing, they have teams of people that are just there to do that. So if you are doing some scams of any kind, just be careful because, my son's age, early 20s, my son is in the early 20s, and he had a lot of friends doing scams. And unfortunately, almost all of them got locked up.
Yeah.
And that's just sad. So the other thing that was kind of popping up was we had a Stefan Gilmore trade. It became clear that he wasn't going to continue with New England. We had a lot of Falcons fans saying, "Hey, we should get him. We should get him."
We still haven't figured out what rebuild yet is.
Right, he would have to want to come here.
Yeah, number one.
We haven't convinced ourselves of that. We'll talk more about the Falcons in a quick second. Yeah. And the other big thing was Sage Steele, good old Sage Steele. If you don't know Sage Steele history, she has not been an ally of the other African American or Latino
not even on the show, much less
broadcasters in her own show, much less her own company. Yeah. And so that's been kind of what she was wearing. She has
rules I hear, but I'm gonna leave that alone.
So she has very conservative leanings, to the point of, and it's funny because some of the best talent, whether it's I agree with that, colleague, whether it's Dan Lebitard, Jamel Hill. And Michael, I lose his last name.
Wilbon.
No,
Michael Wilbon?
The young cat, Michael Smith.
Oh, Michael Smith, yeah.
They have had run-ins that ended up with them leaving the network because they were too liberal. But Sage Steele has walked that line, and so with ESPN's mandate for vaccination, which that's not what we want to argue here or not. And she finally got her vaccination. But she said that it was
torture.
She said it was sick, and scary.
Mm-hmm.
She did admit that she needed it and wanted her job at ESPN. Mm-hmm. But on the same podcast, she decided to question why President Barack Obama identifies as black, although he was raised by his white mother.
Yeah.
And when we talk about being an ally for the LGBT, it is not my right or business to question how anybody identifies. I would take it further that some of the people that got in trouble for identifying even cross-racially, I don't have a problem with that because I don't own the race. I'm not the arbiter of the race. But as a public figure, to question a widely beloved former commander-in-chief about something that you have no business question and doesn't have anything to do with sports. She has been quoted as saying, stick to sports. And I'm trying to figure out where that comment it has anything to do with sports. So she is currently on a suspension. But
I hear she has COVID, Jimmy.
Well, I know she recently got vaccinated, so
yeah.
I don't wish COVID on anybody.
No.
And I think when we talk about the right, you do have a right not to take the COVID vaccination, but your employer also has a right to require that. So your right then would be to not work at that employer.
Exactly.
So rolling into sports because we got a lot to talk about because I didn't get to make any picks. So let's kind of stack it in order of importance by season.
All right. Well, how did you do? Did you end up making your bets anyway? If you did, give us a little bit of rundown on some of the college and maybe some NFL. You kind of came in and out a little bit. How'd you do?
Well, I don't have any accountability, so we're not going to do that. I actually did really well, but the WNBA Finals, the ratings are actually up in the WNBA playoffs, and you're in Chicago.
Especially in Chicago.
Candace Parker left LA, came home. She was injured, and they were sucking. She came back. They won at a 90% clip, got in the playoffs, and they just knocked off the favorites in the East. Behind an incredible performance where she controlled the game. So shouts out to Candace Parker. I've always been a big fan of her. She has a big commercial with Adidas running on mainstream sports now. So shout out to Candace Parker. The other series just got pushed to 5, and so we'll see who they play, but they're in the finals.
Yeah, congrats, Candace.
The next thing is the NBA. It's still preseason, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Steph Curry is on a marketing push. He is in articles all over the place. He's a part of the Ryder Cup coverage. If you don't like Steph Curry, something is wrong with you.
Then there is, yes.
You can say I don't like the Warriors. You can say I didn't like when KD joined the Warriors. But if you don't like Steph Curry, you on my suspicious list, right?
Some people are just haters to me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm a hater. I acknowledge my hater.
So the Kyrie situation is bubbling up and about to boil over.
Yeah.
How would you handle it? How would GM Ricardo handle it?
Listen, man, he got to go. And listen, let's be real. We already know. I don't care who you say put in as the GM. The GM is Kevin Durant. I'm going to put Kevin Durant in the room and have his handler in that same room and his mama in that room and everybody else he loves and tell him that we cannot have Kyrie Irving in our locker room. Either way, here's why. Because what we can't do is have him doing this in and out thing all season. We have a better chance of winning the whole thing with just me and James. We have a really good squad doing what we got to do instead of having to face this circus each and every night about Kyrie. You should be sick and tired of answering questions about Kyrie. Sometimes loyalty can get you messed up, and we can all understand that. There are some friends you just got. God been telling you to let them go for years. Your mama been telling you, your granddaddy been telling you, and you ain't been doing it, and they still owe you money. There's a whole nother story, but my point is, I would have the hardest talk I could with Kevin Durant and say, listen, Mr. GM, listen.
I just don't know how you build that continuity in the team. The counter argument is that the teams that are likely to be in their path to the championship, the Hawks, Milwaukee, and Philly, they don't have a vaccination mandate in those states, so he could theoretically play them. But think about a series. What if the Hawks get home court, or they get home court? They're playing the Hawks, and he has to miss all 4 games in Brooklyn, and go, oh man, gosh, I just can't imagine being subjected to that as a player or GM.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Hawks, John Collins broke the internet again in preseason.
Already the dunk of the year.
Sharif Cooper, who we both loved coming out of when the Hawks drafted him. And I think some major decisions are going. I do not envy Nate, because Sharif Cooper ran the team with aplomb the whole time he was in.
Yep.
He played well. And so then you go, because you tell yourself, well, he would benefit from playing for the College Park Skyhawks every night. But when you saw him, it said he could play some minutes every night in the NBA.
Yeah.
So if he can play every night in the NBA, and I like Travis Mays, but that's not even a hard decision to me. That's not. So they're the record is 0-2. The team looks good. Trey had a little minor injury. I'm not worried about it. Trey's not worried about it. Trey's dad is not worried about it. So the season is starting soon. I don't know if the team that we start the season with is the team that we're going to finish the season with. Those minutes are going to be hard to chop up.
Bro, you got the guys from last year, Kevin Huerter. Cam Reddish had a really spectacular dunk last night as well.
He did.
Our first draft pick, Jalen Johnson, is good. Lou Williams is coming back. And you guys, Hawks fans, don't know this yet, but this kid, DeLon Wright, will fit in our system like a glove. You're going to love the way he looks. We got a great problem. We got one of those, The Wire. You ever seen The Wire? Sounds like one of them good problems. We have literally almost too much talent because we can't play 12 people every night.
We can't. And there's 12 guys and 12 agents and 12 families who justifiably say we deserve at least 10 a night. So that's going to be something to watch out.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Major League Baseball playoffs, the first wild card games, the Red Sox came in, and in an upset, even though it was at home, they beat the Yankees. So, of course, as a Braves fan, I'm happy the Yankees are out. Major League Baseball is crying that the Yankees are out. Although the Boston does bring good ratings. And in the National League, a great game up into the last inning, walk-off home run. Adam Wainwright, who we traded for nobody, and going to the Hall of Fame. I still need 20 years on that one. But he pitched a gem. Scherzer, who I love to hate, but love, pitched a gem. So it was a great game. The Dodgers move on. Hopefully.
Now, Jameed, if you're talking about baseball crying, if the Dodgers had lost last night,
oh yeah,
oh my God,
oh man, that would have been, they might have canceled. They might have been. Oh man, this just in. We changed our mind. We're gonna do a best of 3. Yeah, that's what they wanted. So now we're down to the final 8 teams, the 4 teams that are playing each other in the American League. The White Sox play the Astros. The Astros came in there and beat the White Sox, so they're already up 1-0. Yeah. And then you have Boston playing the Rays, whose analytics built team that you could say it doesn't work in the playoffs. The A's, you could say doesn't work in the playoffs. The Rays made it to the World Series.
They got 2
you can't don't be like analytics doesn't work because that's not true. So if there's a team that I wouldn't want to play besides the Dodgers, it would be the A's. And then you have the battle of the juggernauts in the National League because you have the teams with the 2 best teams in the major leagues, the Giants and the Dodgers playing. Yep. And then we played the Brewers, who has a vaunted pitching staff. Yep. But down the stretch, our 3 horses, Morton, Fields, Morton, Freed, and Ian Anderson.
Yeah.
They outpitched that group. So we have a chance in this first round.
Yeah, and we've been there.
Yeah,
we've been there.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. So I will be looking forward to some to the playoffs. I think my brother wants to go to a game, so we might grab one of those. Awesome. So let's get to college football. We didn't have a show on Tuesday because the whole Facebook went out. So we decided not to have a show. Not going to review all the games, but I do want to talk get a little bit about what you saw with the Razorbacks and Bulldogs and how that reflects going forward.
Well, the funny thing is, I didn't see that. I didn't see that they were going to get shut out. I knew that the quarterback was nicked up, and the one thing that we're susceptible is our secondary. Not so fast. I mean, man, if you can rush 4 guys, and cause pressure every play, that's just really tough. And really, what I saw that was I didn't give enough credit for at the time. Our offense was defense in a sense. People kept wondering, why aren't you pressing buttons? Why aren't you throwing the ball 50 times? Bro, we're up 21-0. We're up 24-0.
Hey man, that game was very, very well. All these sideline coaches, calm down. That was a well-coached game from a perspective of we dominated the game and we didn't get our only backup who can play hurt.
Yeah, and the other point though, when I say the offense was a form of defense, because what we did was, hey, they're going to stay in this 3-3-5. So here's what we're going to do: we're going to keep running up the A gap, and we're going to run up the B gap until
it was funny because it was the exact same game plan that Bill O'Brien and Nick Saban unleashed on Ole Miss. So both of those games were pretty much the same. Georgia looked a little better on defense, and Alabama looked a little better on offense. I will say
looked a lot better than I thought they would. I thought that game would be a little closer too. So I was 0 for 2.
So speaking of how we played it at the end of the game, I came up with a theory about how Kirby has handled the quarterback room. This is not new. And it has to do with our friend Urban Meyer. Yeah. All right?
All right.
So, Urban Meyer, if you don't know, allegedly, first of all, there's things that's not alleged. You know what happened? You got
seen the video.
With a young lady grinding and his finger slipping to areas that you don't slip to if you don't know anybody. Right? And so it's like, I don't know who this lady is. Actually, it turns out, see, that's the thing with social media. That's the thing with social media. Actually, her film crew filmed 3 specials in your bar that you were on. So you sure you didn't see her before? You sure you didn't abandon your team so you could hang in Ohio with your family and your little friend? But anyway, and I'm not, listen, I don't want this show to go viral for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
What I just said is not an allegation. Those are proven facts. The allegations are that, that certain coaches who have coached at Utah and Florida and now coaching the NFL have been friendly with good-looking people in the past. This is not new, right? And so those kind of, and I'm gonna say another whisper of another major team that Georgia's in competition with, who has a coach that may be a little friendlier with other people than Kirby is. Kirby does not have any of those allegations. No. If you talk to insiders, Kirby is he's not holy. He's not holy, but he's a straight shooter. He's not a hound.
What can I say?
What have to do with the quarterback room? Yeah. Ricardo. Yeah. As a reformed player yourself, you know the key to playing the field is to make everybody feel like they're the one. You smooth this one. That all of them are like, even if they find out about each other, they are like, well, he is my man. Kirby is not that kind of guy. So he doesn't. He been going with his girlfriend since high school. They got married when he was a college student. He been married since he's 13. So maybe that has impacted his ability to smooth and massage that quarterback room and make everybody seem like they got a chance and they're important. What's
a couple thoughts. Number one, this is a rule for football, sports, life in general. Winning cures all. Winning covers over a multitude of sins. You might not be shocked by the Urban Meyer stuff, but we know a lot of Urban Meyer personalities. People who present themselves one way, and but you know them as something else. This is common. We all have fallen short to the glory of God. We all just some beggars who found some bread. So I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to, put out fires, but it is what it is. You got to make your bed. You got to lie in it. You make your bed, you got to lie in it. But winning cures a lot. You can't do all the stuff that he's been accused of doing and lose. And not lose, I mean, you're losing every game. I don't see them being able to win a game. And what's worse, it's how you lose them. Not just because of lack of talent. There's been a couple games where you just, hey, man, you're supposed to be the X's and O's guy. You're supposed to be the urban offensive guru. What's happening? You're being over your head. You look a little out-coached. You look a little outdated. You look like you're ready to go back to Fox. You look like you want to go to USC. But we'll have that as another conversation for another time. As far as Kirby, the quarterback room, here's what's going on. Because I get a lot of people, hey, why is Carson Beck not playing? Well, Carson Beck's not playing because it's already been decided that Carson Beck ain't going to be there next year, man. It's a waste of snaps. It's a waste of snaps. Carson Beck, if you've been paying attention, he actually did the best out of everybody in spring game and in the summer camp and fall camp. But the thing is, he can't beat out JT Daniels because JT Daniels, he's a smart kid and knows the offense real well. And Stetson Bennett is 28 years old. So, of course, he knows the offense real well. And the worst part for him, the nail in the coffin is you got Sunshine on the bench who's more talented than all the quarterbacks combined.
All of them at the university right now.
He's probably as talented. Listen, you guys are going to hear about Brock Vandergriff next year and the year after that. The next 2 years, you're going to be like, man, is this guy, he's not just good, but if there's a chance that Monken stays next year, which I can't see it the way we're headed, if there's a chance that he stays, and even if he doesn't stay, what we did do, what Georgia did, the same thing as Alabama does, is we already have that GA, that grad assistant, that person that's kind of coaching but not really coaching, who's already ready to set that same precedent, to kind of fill in. And he already has a similar playbook. The name escapes me, but he's a coach out in North Georgia, Gwinnett County in the high school area for years. He coached in the junior college circuit. Smart, whiz guy, just like Monken, same ilk. And he fits in that Monken program perfectly, Brock Vandergriff. So Carson's a great quarterback. I hate that he's probably going to Florida and be really good next year for Florida because that's exactly what they need. I mean,
that's Dan Mullen's specialty. He ain't the best at recruiting them. He good at training them. So that might be right down his alley.
Yeah.
So looking ahead to the games this weekend. Yeah. Tomorrow we have Temple at Cincinnati. Cincinnati minus 29. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Stanford at Arizona State. Arizona State by 13. Are you?
Sir, hold on, sir. I got to ask you. Cincinnati's for real or what?
Cincinnati is semi for real.
Okay.
So Notre Dame is semi for real, and Cincinnati beat Notre Dame, so that makes them semi for real. This is why we need expanded playoffs, because Cincinnati's fate is not in Cincinnati's hands. Cincinnati's fate is in Notre Dame's hands. So they need Notre Dame to go undefeated for the rest of the season. They can't have Notre Dame lose because they don't play anybody the rest of the season. Yep. They play SMU before Thanksgiving, but that's it, and that's not going to be enough.
Yeah, so, but the reason why I don't agree about the playoffs, I think it's going to work itself out. I think Penn State, who's the other undefeated?
Iowa.
They play each other. That's going to work itself out.
We're going to get to that real quick.
Okay.
Oklahoma and Texas. Okay. Oklahoma -3. Ohio State -21 at Maryland. I love Ohio State in that, but that was 21. They have a point to prove. Now that they've lost a game, they actually have another point to prove. You got Michigan State, number 11, Michigan State at Rutgers. Michigan State -5.5. Watch out now. Arkansas, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is -5.5. I don't know who to pick. If you can cap this game better than me, please jump into my inbox. Jump in the comments. I don't have a cap for this game. Florida -39 at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is terrible. But Florida's offense 39. I don't know about that. Georgia is -15 at Auburn. Not that very far of a trip. Auburn did win against LSU. The only problem is LSU is terrible and they shouldn't have won. I like Georgia. Yeah. Boise State is at number 10, BYU. And BYU is -6, and you're like, oh, man, BYU might be overrated. They beat Boise State 51-17 last year. So there is a revenge angle, but I don't know about that. Number 19, Wake Forest is at Syracuse, who's actually overachieved at 3-2. Wake Forest -6. This is everybody's upset special pick. I don't know if I believe that, but I'm staying away from it. I'm not picking against everybody's. And Penn State, I'm sorry, SMU is at Navy -13.5. Navy has been playing well. You know, that's my team. Hopefully we get it. The big one, 4 o'clock on Saturday. Penn State at Iowa in Iowa. Iowa -1.5. I don't know how to pick this game. If you put a Nerf ball to my head, I would say give me Penn State in those 1.5 points. Okay. Michigan is at Nebraska. Michigan -3.5 on the road. Watch out for that one. Nebraska might come through on that one. A trick line. You have Notre Dame pick them against Virginia Tech. The Notre Dame's backup quarterbacks are terrible. That's the only thing that's making this close. I still like them. LSU goes up to Kentucky, number 16 Kentucky at 7:30. Kentucky is coming off the biggest win maybe in their school history. So they might be ripe for an upset, but LSU can't run the ball at all. And Kentucky has a great defense. So I don't know how you win that without that.
That's at Kentucky?
That's at Kentucky.
Okay.
Alabama goes to Texas A&M and just giving up 18 points. And I guess Vegas is capping that Saban doesn't tend to run up the score against his ex-assistants, which is true. Yeah. But just like Kirby did against his ex-assistant, you can not run up the score and still cover 18.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see how Texas A&M is on shutout watch. I don't see how they score more than 10 points. And then finally, San Diego State -19.5 at home against New Mexico. So those are our top 25 matchups. Obviously, those are not the only ones we look at, and we'll talk about those when we give our picks.
Yeah.
Moving on to the NFL.
Okay. Oh, are we going to give our college picks now, or are we going to wait to?
We'll do them all together. Okay. So we'll just talk all the games, and then we'll do our picks together. I had a request from one of our fans, one of our loyal fans who actually chats a lot. So to at least look at all the games, and not in college because I can't do that. But we'll make a little quick comment on every NFL game. But let's talk about our own team, the Falcons. Okay. I don't want to go over the loss on Sunday. What was tough to take because I thought I could see some things slowly coming together, but our coach lost that for us.
Sure did.
Our coach lost that for us in the sense that if he had been more aggressive in those last 2 drives, we still might have lost because our defense can't stop a wet paper towel. Yes, sir, Mr. Williams. But that wasn't the time to pack it in and run it 6 straight times. I disagree with that. Matt was playing great and was on fire. So I just didn't. I was like.
And didn't it feel like the rhythm of the offense is off?
It was that. I mean, that's the point.
Yeah.
He had a good rhythm going up to. He called an A+ game up to that point.
I couldn't understand. Now, I don't know. Maybe Matt just good soldier in it. But I'm to the point where I'm like, Matt, you got to see that and say, hey, coach, I got audible out of that.
Yeah. But I always feel like, let me tell you something that I feel about Matt. Amongst the many things I feel about Matt. We talk about his in the red zone. Matt is a do the right thing player.
Yeah.
He should have audibled out of that pass in the Super Bowl. He didn't.
Oh, goodness.
He should have. There's been several points over his career where he will can a play. In other words, switch to the other alternative play. But if the other alternative play is not a pass, he is not.
He's the one to the other side of it.
Yeah, he's not. He's that's not what he does. In the red zone, he doesn't take any chances. And when he's switching out of plays, he doesn't do a lot of audibling from run to pass. So
it kind of explains why he did so well with Shanahan, because Shanahan kind of thought for him, so to speak.
Yeah, there's no audibles out of Shanahan's play. He wants you to run the play. You might switch the side, but he does. And to answer Burrell's question, I just think, well, the first thing is you can't audible out of a running play to a pass play that's not called. That's the old NFL, right? The old NFL, they had, when they're in, the verbiage is so long, he's got to get 2 run plays out. If 2 run plays are sent in, he's got to get first play, this, blah, 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 X, Y, Z, banana, 6, 5, suit. Then the next one, blah, blah, or blah, blah, blah. If I can, that's this play. Okay. If a pass play is not in there, it's no way to get everybody on the same page to know what pass play you're doing.
What's the, I don't want to beat a dead horse, guys. It is what it is. But the saddest part is, in today's NFL, most of the best teams do RPOs, where you can do a running out.
And the Falcons actually ran a few RPOs.
Did.
And so that was why wouldn't one of the plays, or why wouldn't you run RPOs in those situations to say, if they're off, get those 3 or 4 yards.
And isn't Coach Smith an RPO coach?
He does. I mean, the Falcons ran more RPOs this game than they probably have run in the 12 years that Matt has been here. And all of a sudden, we just tuck those in our pocket. But here's the thing. I'm not going to cry and lament about it because it's a rebuilding team, guys. Yeah. If we won that game, that would have been great. But that game is not going to be the difference between us and making the playoffs.
No.
And because we got a lot of stuff going on. And I want to talk about some of the stuff we got going on. So there was Calvin Ridley is not going to London, if you didn't know, which is unfortunate. Russell Gage is not going because he's injured. He hasn't been fully healthy this whole season, and it looks like he is inching towards the injury list. And our wide receiver room has not had a great year already without that. So that's one thing. The other thing was, and I don't know Richie Grant's family, but
you kind of froze up again. You were saying something about Richie Grant. Yeah, Burrell, you're right. We are rebuilding. It's just one of those tough things. I don't know. If we weren't rebuilding, you would have heard us at least trying to have a conversation with Stefan Gilmore.
Right. We definitely need one because we lost Isaiah Oliver to a season-ending injury.
Yeah. Green Bay, same thing. They just got Jalen Adams. Cowboys cut him. Green Bay picks him right up.
Jalen Smith.
Smith, I apologize. Yeah. Jalen Smith.
Similar.
Yeah. But, I mean, it ain't about the moves. It's about the fact that there are moves being made. And I've been saying for about 2 weeks now, why don't we just get another burner receiver, right now, because we don't know what's going on with Russell Gage. And I think that would unleash Calvin Ridley a little bit if we had a receiving threat. And we've had some guys come in camp. John Brown, I thought he would have been a nice fit.
Yeah, John Brown.
There must be something with him that I don't know. But the point is, it doesn't. You got to know what you're looking at when you're dealing with it, guys. They're not making moves that are conducive to a team that's trying to win football games.
And to that point, and this is where I feel like there needs to be a tap on the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
We need a tap on the shoulder. Somebody needs to tap the coaching staff on the shoulder, because I really think the coaching staff really believes that they can get this turned around and win. I don't think, because, and you say, well, why do you think that, Jimmy? Look at the snap counts.
Yeah.
Our young guys on defense are not getting any snaps.
Yeah.
And I know we need to get repetitions and what have you. But right now, we're the 32nd ranked scoring defense. Let me say that again. Or maybe you don't know. There's only 32 teams in the NFL. We are last in scoring defense. So if you're telling me that Richie Grant is going to come out there and do something that's going to make us worse, I would tell you that statistically that's not possible, Mr. Pease.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just him, whether it's AO, whether it's Kaminsky, whether it's Graham getting more snaps, whether it's Jalen Hawkins getting more snaps.
Mm-hmm.
I love Michael Walker. We need to figure out a way to get him more snaps.
Yeah.
And I think it's turning to vitriol towards guys like Steven Means, guys like Debo or like Eric Harris or like Deron Harmon. Those guys are what they are. They're veterans.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be in your 8th year and start intercepting passes when you have 3 interceptions on your career. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look, they got to make – and so there's some Falcons fans that were mad. Dean Pease is coaching the defense incredibly. They're just not making plays. Contraire, they haven't ever made these plays in their life.
Number one.
Steven Means has never had 5 sacks in an NFL season. So when you're saying, well, why is he getting pressure? Because he's a okay third edge, a great 4th edge, and an incredible 5th edge. But the 2nd edge, nah.
Yeah.
And I agree with Xavier. I agree with Xavier. Julio was vilified. And people tried to make it a Julio against Matt thing. I never thought it was a Julio against Matt thing. I thought it was a Julio against the personnel thing. So
he wants to win. And he sees the writing on the wall. Now the only other thing I would add to that, I thought you kind of shared what your thoughts eloquently as usual. I think that we're asking. I don't think we have an understanding of what we're asking. Some of the guys is like, hey, that's not what they're asking him to do. This guy, that's not what his role is. To be frank, we only have about 2 or 3 of those guys. Grady Jarrett is one of those guys, those game changers. We don't have that many of those guys on our roster as it is as present. However, is a potential game changer, but rookie.
He's a rookie, and every week he does something for that you say, "Oh my God!" And every week he does 3 things that make you remember he's a rookie. He's a rookie.
Now listen, if you have a fantasy team and you're on a keeper league, you might want to pick up Kyle Pitts. Other than that, he's no better than Mark Andrews.
Who's having a down year? Who's having a down year?
I know what he's doing.
So let's jump into this week's NFL games. Real quick. You got the game going on now. It's 0-0. You ain't missing nothing. So stay tuned in to us. You got the Sunday morning game at 9:30 in London. The Jets against the Falcons. We don't have fond memories of that game. We're still -2.5.
Not good.
I don't see it. Do you see the Packers at the Bengals? This is a lot of people's upset special. Yeah. Green Bay -3 on the road. They were up for Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers really likes Mike Tomlin. Yeah. The Lions against the Vikings. The line is Minnesota -10. Listen, the Lions are haven't won a game, but they're not that bad. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. You have the Broncos at the Steelers. We are still trying to figure out who's going to play quarterback for the Broncos. Because I'm telling you, if it was steady Teddy, I'm all over the Broncos. So just keep a watch on that because it's right now it's an even game. That must mean there's some good reports coming out of Denver on Teddy.
Would you say that Drew Lock has regressed? It looks like he's worse to me.
I was watching a national show and they were like, well, he was surprised to be in the game. A professional quarterback, not the emergency quarterback, not the wide receiver who played quarterback in high school. The second, man, get out of here with that. Come on with the excuse. It's amazing how certain, whatever. The Dolphins at Buccaneers, Tampa -10. Tampa hasn't beaten anybody. Tampa hasn't beaten anybody but the Falcons by that score. Mm-hmm. And the Dolphins, even with Brissett, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Mm-hmm. Here's one game I like. The Saints in Washington is now a pick 'em. Really? We just played Washington. The Saints are better than them. Yeah. Trust me. Mm-hmm. The Eagles and the Panthers, this is a nice little game. The Eagles have been playing good. They haven't gotten the results. The Panthers have a good defense. It's Carolina -3. Mm-hmm. You have the Titans at the Jaguars. This is going to be a big game for a bunch of other reasons. If this game gets out of control, is Urban Meyer the coach on Monday? That's the interest in this game. It's the Titans -4.5. Stopping a running team requires dedication and fortitude. And if the locker room has quit on Urban Meyer, this could go left. The Patriots and the Texans -9. The Patriots, even though it's in Houston, let me tell you, the Patriots need this win more than anybody in the NFL. Yeah. They are going to be committed. Yeah. You got the Raiders and the Bears in Las Vegas. The Raiders -5.5. Justin Fields is now starting, been named a starter no matter what comes back. I would watch out for this one. If I was a Raiders backer, I would watch out for this one. The Browns and the Chargers. This is the game of the week. Two of the best teams going right now. Definitely two of the most talented rosters. Now, all of a sudden, it comes out that Mayfield is playing with an injury. So it's the Chargers -2 at home. So the Browns are coming all the way out to the West Coast. That's going to be a good game. The Giants at the Cowboys. The Cowboys -7. That's tricky because the Cowboys are a public team, and I feel like they're better than 7 points over the Giants. The Cardinals at the 49ers. The Cardinals -5. It's up in the air who plays. If Trey Lance plays, I would take the Cardinals and that -5. If Garoppolo plays, even though he's injury prone, and even though they don't trust him to throw down the field, he's a game manager. And I don't know about those 5 points. The Bills and the Chiefs, the Sunday night game. That's going to be a great game. Kansas City -2.5. This is a big game for the Chiefs all of a sudden because they're 2-2, and two teams in their division are 3-1. So this is going to be a big game because of that. So and this is a big game for Buffalo because their whole offseason was built to beat Kansas City. So they get to try out their new toys to see who wins. So that's going to be a good game. And then the Colts and the Ravens. The Ravens haven't been covering. So that's a little secret. And the Ravens -7 is something to watch out for. So, yeah, that's it for the NFL. If you have any questions, I see you, Xavier. Chargers. I like the Chargers actually in that game. I like that game. Shamika said we're missing absolutely nothing. I like your Cowboys, Shamika. James, listen, Patterson is more than showing signs, but he has not carried an offense before. We're going to need a lot out of him, but let's not make sure we don't get him out of his lane, right? Just like we got. So right now we got Steven Means out of his lane. We got Tyler Davison out of his lane. We got Bullard out of his lane. So we got all these Jags out of their lanes. And I'm not saying Cordell is just a Jag, but I just don't. We're probably maxing out what we're doing with Cordell, and I want to make sure that I like what he's doing too. I like what he's doing. I like how hard he's playing, and hopefully, one good thing about Arthur Smith learning in a rebuilding season is better than learning in the Super Bowl.
Oh, you went there.
So I think if we get in that same situation, I don't see the Jets blowing us out. I don't know that we're built to come back. And the Jets defense, what you're going to see, that's the thing about gambling, it makes you follow the whole season. What you're going to see is that the Jets have a really good defense, really good defense. So I don't want you to get caught up with, I don't want you to get caught up. I don't want
Wait. So you have the Jets beating the Falcons?
I didn't say a pick for the. I didn't say a pick. I just said.
Okay. Because I definitely want to hear your picks on the Falcons game, and I definitely want to hear your pick. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Georgia-Auburn game.
Yeah. So that's in my picks. So how are we looking on the screen? Can you see? Oh no, we're doing the infinite screen. Let me remove that.
Yeah.
Let me do a better job.
Okay. What we got there?
Here we go. There you go. Goodness gracious. All right. Accountability. Let's go back. The last week that we had, I went 3-2. A lot of 3-2s. Needed 4-1 to get everybody rich. All right. So here we go. Georgia minus 15.5. It doesn't matter if Stetson Bennett plays, the Cologne plays. Our defense is going to make things tough on Auburn. They already have a quarterback controversy, so that's going to factor into the game. Because if Bo Nix is not able to move the ball, now they're forced to play the other guy because that's what they've done all the time. So I like Georgia in that game easily. I see a game, the Georgia scores in the late 20s, 30s. Auburn scores in the barely teens.
Let me a couple things. First of all, I miss having this matchup in November, but oh well. I mentioned this in another group that I don't believe Auburn will have as much success getting in the end zone. They've struggled a bit with talented defensive fronts, and the Dogs, of course, may have the best defensive front in the entire country. Bo Nix has had his magic moments thanks in large part to a turnstile offensive line that has been very inconsistent. And I suspect Nix will be running for his life all game long. They could have had some success
against better linebackers. And the secret that nobody's giving credit is the Georgia defensive backs are improving week to week.
Yeah, let me finish. They could have some success on those scramble drill chaos, plays if he can buy enough time to find a receiver downfield. But that's not going to be sustainable. That's the point. Now, Auburn, on the other hand, they might have the best offensive group that we've played so far, but it's going to be hard to say because of how much better the talent is at our defense. Now, the bigger question in my mind is actually going to be how UGA's offense matches up with Auburn's defense. Auburn is probably a bit better defensively than people think that they are. They're not dominant, but they don't need to be here. UGA, we face some ongoing issues with injuries on the offensive side of the football. Key players still here.
Wide receiver is specific.
Yep, wide receivers. The Dogs have enjoyed improvements through some very different game plans each week. So it's really hard to really point to an identity on offense yet. Having said that, they've been able to pass when they need to and run when they need to. Auburn has also had some inconsistency on defense, but they've been able to hunker down and get some stops to give their offense opportunities. So it could end up being an interesting game, but I actually said that last week about Arkansas. Now, I think you said Vegas opens up at, what was the line for the Auburn Georgia game?
Looking at it is 15.5.
15.5. I was going to say, I'd say they should win by at least 2 touchdowns. I got them 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Now, Georgia's going to cover this. Don't forget, Georgia State put 32 up on these guys in Jordan. You can't undo that. The next game that I have is Stanford plus 13.5 at Arizona State. Stanford is on the come. This is why everybody thinks David Shaw is going to go to the NFL, because his teams get better and better as the season goes. And in college football, there's no payoff for that. The Almond Bowl, the Cotton Bowl. I like Stanford to be on the lookout for the straight upset. If not, they're going to cover that 13.5 against Arizona State. I also like Texas against Oklahoma. Every week you keep saying, well, is this the week Oklahoma breaks out? Is this the week Oklahoma breaks out? At some point, Oklahoma is just what Oklahoma is. So, I mean, Texas is playing better. Arkansas put the beat down on them. There's nothing about Oklahoma that resembles Arkansas. Let me tell you that. The next game that we have here is UNC. UNC burned me. UNC burned me a couple weeks ago. They're inconsistent because their quarterback is inconsistent. So anybody who's talking about him as our future quarterback, no thank you at all. But I think that they beat the living snot out of FSU because I think FSU is one of the worst teams in the NCAA. So this is going to be a mega blowout, and this is a rivalry. Like North Carolina doesn't like FSU in football. And then my last pick is Bama minus 17.5 over Texas A&M. It's going to be similar. Texas A&M cannot score. Since they lost their starting quarterback, they haven't scored 20 points, 25 points against a real team. Alabama is going to beat them without even trying. It's going to be one of those similar games. I like them in the first half. I like them in the game. Now let's scroll down to the NFL. The last week we talked, I went 3-2. I'm starting to see the NFL, and one of the things I see is I don't see 5 games to bet. I like New Orleans in a pick'em over Washington, even though they're on the road. I like New England on the road with 9, which is a lot of points. But what Belichick did to Tom Brady and what he's going to do to Davis Mills, who is one of the least prepared for starting NFL quarterbacks to ever suit up, is going to allow them to cover. And then the last but not least, I like Dallas at home over the Giants minus 7. So that's it for my picks for the week. I know we had a lot of information to run at you.
Guys, we thank you so much for joining us once again. Congrats to you guys for helping us have 800 followers on our Facebook.
Thank you for over 1,500 views on 3 of our last 4 shows. So thank you so much. Please continue to view. Please continue to share. Please continue to enjoy and jump in these comments. Comment even if you're watching it after it airs originally. Jump in these comments.
Yeah. We thank you so much for that. We don't take it for granted. Join us again next Monday, same time, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is 5 o'clock Pacific. Guys, if you can do us the hugest favor, we thank you for all the Facebook follows and the press and likes. If you could go on over to our YouTube page, just press like, give us a subscribe. That would help us out so much. We thank you so much. For Professor Billingsley, Jameed, and myself, we want to say peace up, A-Town down.